Boom. Okay, thank you all for coming. I'm just gonna make sure everything's good here, sound and all of that stuff. I gotta go this one, right? Oh, you guys can hear some music. From where? From there? Okay. Oh, a little bit of an echo. Okay, I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden my program started picking up my desktop audio. So I think I have everything muted. If I don't, certainly let me know, and let me know if you guys can't hear me or as you're new here, welcome. My name is Michael Noss. I'm a chartered market technician and a quantitative trader. So once a week, I go through and we do some live scanning. We try to figure out what's going on currently in the market. We try to figure out kind of what's coming up later in the market. And man, is it going to be a time, because we obviously got some interesting stuff going on out there. As always, this is a kind of little taste of what I do over at Stats Trading, where you can see, if you're interested, you can come on by and essentially basically put the output of what you see from me doing for the next hour or two is what you'll get in Stats Edge Pro. So every night I go through and I go through a couple hundred charts, and any one of interest I share with you guys on a little blog post, and then I talk about what I'm trading and what I think's gonna happen next, kind of all that stuff. And on top of that, we've got a live trading room. We've got a Q&A session, like a webinar for just us. I apologize. I tried this. I usually use my phone as a camera, but I tried this this other camera from Logitech, and it's just not there. I don't know. Anyway, let's just get into it, because this one is going to be a bear. So again, this is a preview for how I kind of run everything over at Stats Edge Trading Pro. So if you're interested in that, link is in the description below, along with the softwares that you'll see me use. Everything got jumbled about, of course. Let's boop, and there we go, top and bottom, and then just shrink that like that, which is perfect. And then there's my trade ideas like that. Okay, boom, right into it. And let's actually start here with the crypto space. Kind of cool this week. We have weekly candles and we have monthly candles. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, so we have weekly candles and we have monthly candles. So we'll be doing a lot of that. We'll be doing a lot of going through really high time frames. I always suggest, is something I picked up from JC at All Star Charts, go through your monthly candles, right? It takes like 10 minutes to go through all of your monthly candlesticks, and it gives you really zoomed out picture of everything that's going on there. But first, as we said, crypto. I always like to start, again, I trade pretty much everything. Give me a price for it and I'll trade it, kind of thing. So let's actually go, right? The crypto monthly chart is going to look kind of wild, but right. So we have a new month here in Bitcoin, right? We're trying to figure out what's going on now. We try to figure out what's going on next. And with this, I could probably play a game of name that technical pattern, but right, what is this technical pattern? Right, potential for a double top here. Not saying that that's what's going to happen, but there's definitely a shot that we could be in some sort of double top. If we break down over that neckline right here, Maybe we could push lower. At the very least, if you just zoom in over the last few candles here, you can see this kind of looks like a bear flag. And that's kind of what I've been playing off of too, right? Strong push down and then continue move about. Weekly chart, I think, is a little bit more interesting on Bitcoin. We had this anchored VWAP from all-time highs. We sold off, bounced up and tapped that, and now we're selling more. Full disclosure, I do have a short position right now in Bitcoin, and it's basically just playing off that flag. You may also see the potential head and shoulders here on Bitcoin on the weekly. Daily, I think, is enough for crypto, to be honest. It trades 24/7, so that might be enough. And really, again, just right, I have come on, do something, because we've chopped around for the last week or so. But if I have to draw this out, it does look like we've got a pretty substantial bear flag going on. Is this live? Yes, it is. I live stream on my channel once a week. We go over everything in the market, crypto, FX, whatever. Again, this is the stuff that you'll see me do this a lot. Just ignore that. I'm just taking screenshots because all these go on my website for the members there. And then I start scanning through crypto, ApeCoin. Man, what a world in which my best performing trade of anything I've done in the last month is ApeCoin. So there's nothing really I see here right now, but we looked at this declining wedge here on ApeCoin. That's where I got involved for some of my position right here. As we pushed higher, we had this kind of clear level right at highs. So I actually added to a little bit as we broke there. During that insane spike, I sold a chunk, and now I'm still kind of holding the rest. You know, if we get and close in this area, that's probably where I'll exit on ApeCoin. But just, you know, can't stop. Why stop? Why do I care what it is, right? All I care is that I can buy it at one price and that hopefully later I can sell it at a slightly higher price. I don't know if there'll be a lot of crypto to go through right now because it's all kind of a bit junky, but the only other one that I'm kind of interested, I'll go here with Doge. I am in some Doge, down a bit on it. Basically, I took some as it broke this declining wedge, and my stops under that right there. So my hope is that this thing's gonna continue higher. Again, I'm not a hodl Dogecoin to $1 or anything, right? I'm a trader. I see that there's a lot of accumulation going on in here. It's actually in a short-term uptrend. So I'm just seeing if we can get a little push up there. Other than that, actually, let's look at them here instead of, because everything's down. So scanning this Atom finally let go. I wasn't getting involved in there. I don't own any Atom. I didn't buy any, but I was watching that $20. We cracked through $20 and now we're hanging out below it. So I'm not interested in that. The other one that I thought was interesting as a relative strength trader is Luna. I bought some Luna in through here on this initial break, took a small little profit on some, and then got stopped out on the rest. So if Luna can get back over $100, that's where I'm interested in it. And we're obviously going in the wrong direction, but needs to get over 100 there as well. Atom, I just went, yeah, Atom. It's I liked it if it held that area. It's no longer holding that area, so I think you kind of got to go. If it can reclaim this $20 area, you know, and this is just like a little shakeout, that's when I'll start watching it again. But I think a lot of these cryptos follow Bitcoin. And again, this is just a real bearish look right now on Bitcoin. Just this kind of, right? So we have this bear flag going in through here. Potential breakdown. If it does, you got to watch 30,000, and then below this kind of 25 to 30,000 area, you don't have much. So again, I'm not calling for a massive collapse. I'm a trader. I'm just going to trade it with kind of what I see. Let me try something, see if I can make this camera look a little better. I'm definitely returning it. That helps a bit. Great, finally got one of these. Saw me on the Trade Ideas webinar. Greetings. Hey, how's it going? Yeah, this is my own personal channel. So one thing I love about Trade Ideas is it hires actual traders who are actually trading stuff. And as a consultant with them, this is actually funny enough how they found me and how we started our relationship was me making YouTube videos about trade ideas because I'd found it and been using it for a while and liked it and kind of went from here. So really, there's not much else I want to talk about in the crypto space. There's really nothing that's standing out as something that's super great, right? Ethereum's got the same look as Bitcoin. Mana, which was one of my favorite. I think, yeah, Mana finally broke down. I was watching Mana to see if it could break down this downtrend line. That didn't happen. That let go. The other one was Sand. Right, that let go. I've been watching all of these things off their support lines forever, which is why I think it's very important that, and Brian Shannon talks about this all the time, is you don't buy the support, you note the support, and then you buy it as it moves off of that support. And none of these moved off of their supports. They all just fell. So really not much to see here. Now, in the traditional Forex, space, we have the USD just rocket ship, right? It's funny, so let's just do the moon. And again, the reason I take all these notes is for me, I suggest you always take notes on your charts. It's just always good to have those. However, the reason that I do it is because I just take these screenshots and they all get uploaded as a blog post. So if anyone wants to see my thoughts on any of these individual securities, that's how they can look at that. But the only real big trade I've had in the regular currencies recently is I shorted Aussie dollar as it started to fall. I think I talked about that last week outside of this area, and that fell for the majority of the week there, which is a good thing. Euro, I'm not in anymore. GBP, I'm not in anymore. I've had some great shorts off those. US dollar Canadian, I'm just watching this area right here. Again, I always like to state my bias when I talk about USD CAD. Not that I could influence the price of a currency, but I'm paid in US dollars as a Canadian. So for me, a really down Canadian dollar would be fantastic. But we have this big rounded bottom in USD CAD, and you can see this shaded area right here of support and resistance. If we get through that, we've got that kind of rounded bottom type look. But US dollar still looks really strong. And a lot of that makes sense, right? If people are selling securities to go into a risk off mode, it makes sense that they're, when you sell Apple, you're actually selling Apple and buying dollars, right? So that makes perfect sense there. So let us now go into trade ideas here, which is what I use for stocks. And let's start scanning through ETFs. So first, I think we got to start with the SPY. And again, we're going to go through monthly candles of some of these big ones, just because, again, we have a closing candle for a month, and we've got a closing candle for the week, and then we've got closing candles for days, so we can go as well, right? Do you trade an inverse cup and handle? Could that be used short? Could be. I don't really swing short. This is something that I'll rant about for a second, but it's just something that I'm seeing so much that I feel the need God, this camera is just a trash can, eh? I gotta return this. What is this called? The Logitech Brio. Ugh. Right, so okay, I'll leave this up because we're talking about shorts. A lot of people think market down, therefore I should short. I would very much have you consider very strongly, if you don't already have a short trading plan, I don't know if now's the time to build one. And the reason is that we need to always remember, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the most provable things in trading is that the largest bounces are in bull markets, right? The large or bear markets. So a lot of people say, "Oh, well, I'm just going to short because stock go down." Right? My issue with that is that stock go down, but the they'll go down, but their bounces will be insane. So let's just draw on the screen here as a way to, right? Markets kind of go up like this, right? These slow pullbacks and slow bounces. Then a lot of people think markets go down like that, so they have to short. But right, they don't. Right? Markets go up like this. And then if there's prolonged bear markets, they go down like this. Right? This is how a market decline will more likely look. And we can, we don't have to guess. We can go into a couple examples. Let's go into daily chart. And again, this is something that if you don't trust me on, look it up. But the largest bounces are always in bear markets. And you're right, you could just use this here as an example if you want it. Right? When we went up like this. Right? Little pullbacks, little pops. This is where everyone got trained to buy the dips. And now that we're going down like this. Kind of just like I said, right? Looks like the clear plastic has been removed. No, it has been. I think it's just trash. I know the camera is working for the person who said it, but I usually use my iPhone as a camera, and it's just way better. So let's go look at another bear market, right? Boom, right? Big bounces. Even in this little short of the pandemic crash, you're talking 20-30% bounces in this move. If you go back further, right? This is 2018, 2019. So a lot of people think, okay, if the market's going to go down, I'm just going to flip my trade. And my argument is that's just not the way it works, right? It just doesn't. Right? Here's another down period. You can see again, big moves. Here's another down period, massive moves. So my point basically is if you were shorting because you're like, okay, the market's going to go down, then that rip 20% in your face puts you down 20-30% on the position, and then a big down move, right? So same with right here, right? So I would be careful. Now what I do personally is I just continue to look for relative strength, and this kind of bothers some people I know who think, right, why aren't you shorting? The market's going down. Swing trading short has a much higher risk profile than swing trading long because, stock can only go to zero, stock can go up many 100%. So that's one thing. The other thing is that on top of kind of the up and down and the craziness there, there's some kind of crazy news that can go on. So what I'll do is I'll just look at, so for example, this market, if you have been in any of the ARK funds, the bear market isn't new for you, right? This is old. If you're one of those guys who I'm just going to buy and hold junk forever, right? You're screwed. I have been doing a lot of, and the guys in the Stats Edge Trading will tell you, we just switch to relative strength over and over and over again. We just flop over to relative strength, and oil's been strong, and right, Arch Coal. Right, we own some Arch Coal here, and then I bought some more here, and then I bought a little bit more here. Right, these are all different trades, not one trade. So again, I just look for what's continuing to go up, right? So just listen to your relative strength. Oh, in the Steve Bigelow room. Yeah. So that's just what I just keep doing. And it's, if the whole market crashes, everything will crash. And do I wish I was short there? Yeah, maybe. I would argue if you're very worried about that, you should be more interested in going into either cash or doing like some day trading, right? This is bothering me so incredibly much that I'm going to do this. The problem is the reason I'm not using my phone as a camera anymore is I broke it. I broke the little holder thing. Oh, man. Angle sucks. I'm sorry, but that is way better. Boom. Oh, man. Look at that quality difference. Sorry, get rid of that. Look at that quality difference. I got another holder on the way. It'll be here tomorrow, so by the next stream, this will all be taken care of. There we go. Sorry for the typos, nice listeners. Thank you for that. Yeah, no problem. And again, it's my way of trading. It's not going to be everybody's way of trading, but that's just how I get through stuff like this. Is I'll be relative strength trader when it comes to everything here. So let's actually just get into the markets, which is why we're here. So we're going to start with SPY, and then let's go out to the month. What is... Right, so one thing I'm watching with this is the AVWAP from the COVID lows. We had a lot of time to get there. We really have nothing standing out on a monthly chart other than the volatility that's been going on through here is pretty substantial. If we go into the weekly chart, you can see potential inverse head and shoulders. Let's put a question mark. Right, you see and we have broken down that 420 area I've been watching for a while. So there's a shot that that's what's going on here. But everybody's been looking for that. Sorry. So that doesn't look good, obviously. Right now, when we go into the daily chart here, this is what I've been anyone who's been following the channel, I've been slamming the table on forever, is that we've had this and we'll open this. Right, so I've just been absolutely pounding the table on the fact that this 420-ish area in here has been huge. Now we've had a pretty decisive close. So ugly close under 420. So I'm starting to get not worried. Again, I'm a trader. I don't care. Right? Mark goes up, mark goes down, mark goes sideways. Who cares? But right, that's obviously not what you want to see as a hold of support. So if we continue lower here, we just got to say, okay, well, what's next? What could hold us next? Next, I think, would be this 400 area, which is recent highs back here. And then below that, we've got 375, which was the anchor VWAP from the COVID lows. I can redraw that. And let's do this again. Starting to get more and more obsessed with anchored VWAP. Again, no magic, but with a trading plan around it. So yeah, that puts us, 385, which also lines up with this congestion. So it's potential that could be an area to target if you're trying to target the market. So it'd be this, and then we also just need to note that that's going to be roughly the same area as like this congestion. So COVID lows, AV. Which, if that's as far down as we're going to go, that's great, right? Again, we don't care. Things are going to go up, or they're going to go down, or they're going to go sideways, and it's not up to us to care one way or the other. So we just need to find where relative strength is. So we'll just start going through my scans here. What's the easiest way to catch relative strength is just look for the stuff not going up. Now, I'm obviously going to be biased to TI strength alerts, which is my relative strength system. That's built within Trade Ideas here. Debating whether or not to scream at that dog, but I'm going to be biased to that. But just simply, when the market goes down, ask yourself a simple question: what didn't they sell? I'll always tell you, the more complicated your trading is, probably the worse it's going to be. And that's kind of a pretty much one-to-one relationship. So when you're saying, okay, well, what's relatively strong? Well, you should look at what the stock's doing, and then look at what its competitors or the overall market's doing, and see the one that's holding up the best or going up the most, right? You can see what I'm looking at here in USO. Again, this thing's just wedging higher. So I'm still stalking this for some sort of a breakout. Right? A good way to find relative strength too is look at your eye. What is holding up the best? Do this. And then zoom way out here. There we go. All right, so XLB is holding up pretty well. It's not near a breakout yet, so I'm not super interested, and I won't add this to the chart, but look how high up it's holding in comparison to its peer there, right? XLK, for example, right? This is just a simple way to look at relative strength. Just focus on the line chart on the bottom. I find that line charts are sometimes easier. We all like candlesticks and all that, but line charts are sometimes easier just to make sure that we're on the right side of what we're looking at. You can see how well this is holding up. Like, just use kind of this as a reference, and then go right down to XLK, which is our financial sector, and you can see that that's well at and below that area. So it's, and you don't need to be a CMT or anything just to know that that is stronger than that. So you want to look at which is both are way stronger than that, right? So now if you're to look at stocks, if you're trying to figure out what stocks you're interested in, you instantly know that it's not technology and it's not communication names. Very simple way. Now, the cool thing is that with TI strength being just an algorithm in and of itself, is it won't give you those, right? It's not going to give you a bunch of technology names unless they're strong, right? Silver looks like shit. Insurance, which when it was holding up here, I was actually holding out for, looks like shit. Yeah, I never know what happened to that. right? There's not a lot here that's looking great, to be honest. Right, XLI, which is industrials, looks like it's going to break down. IWM looks really bad. Let's go weekly here. Right, this one's rolling over. Let's do an anchored VWAP here from the all-time lows or COVID lows. You can see we're below that now. And that's something that I was watching here on this one for a while. You just click on that. Right, so that's the anchored VWAP from all-time lows, and we've broken down and we're closed below that now. So this looks ugly as well. So that's not looking good either. Before there was a lot of stuff that was going down, and then there was a lot of stuff that was holding up. Now I'm not really seeing the stuff that's holding up as much, which means we might be in a pure play bear market, or it might be that we're actually getting near a bounce point, because it's whole when they start coming for the generals kind of thing. Generally speaking, a lot of people go, okay, when they start coming for the generals, maybe they're running out of steam. It's a potential. Again, who knows? But I don't want to zoom too far out there. XLP is interesting here. Highlight this one. Right. So again, with the talk of relative strength, while everything else was getting right near its lows, if we take a look here at XLP and just draw this resistance line, you can see that prior high, we're right at it. If we hold, then one could very easily say XLP, which is our XLP, which is our financial names, or sorry, our consumer staples. So think of, stuff that people need to buy. Well, maybe that's kind of the last bastion. Qs look like crap. XLRE still doing well, but XLU utilities, they're even coming for the utilities. So again, I do all these charts for the blog, but then I'll also do a write-up. And I already know my write-up is going to go something to the effect of they're starting to come for everybody, which is a different market than we were in before, where there was these like really great pockets of relative strength. So the beauty of looking at relative strength is, again, the guys in the room will tell you, I haven't had more than 2 or 3 stocks, or maybe more than 5 stocks on my list all week, because if nothing is strong, then really nothing's going to be relatively strong, right? Why did you choose the lows from anchored? Wasn't that a rare event sell-off? Yeah, so again, it's up to you. It's an art thing, but generally what the anchored VWAP is telling you is where the average market participant is. So it, generally speaking, makes more sense to do it off major events than some random place. You could also, if I was looking at, for example, I know I don't need to see it, but I know XLY is going to be under its anchor VWAPs from the highs, right? I don't need to look at that. So I know there's that keeping this down. My question was, were we going to hold? And the reason I was looking at that is because if you take a look at IWM, and let me draw this in again, we go back. Right, if I take a look at this, right? It's not just random. You can see how, right, this has been holding. So that's why I think this is really important on the IWM. So because it's already held twice, and now that it's broken, that just might be the end of it, right? And an event, regardless of how rare it is still as important as an event, regardless of how common it is, right? If you were holding on stocks to that level, it would hurt just as much. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to get into, I think I can actually, now that I'm using the good camera and not that trash can, I can actually make it a little bit brighter in here. Save my eyes. God, Logitech, what are you doing with that thing? Usually they make pretty good stuff, but not for this. So what we're going to do now, and soon there's going to be, I'll take a look at chart requests, but what I'm going to do is go through the watch list that I had for last week or Friday, see if there's anything to add or remove from there, and then we're going to start scanning to populate the watch list. Again, this is all over on statsedgetrading.com. But yeah, they came for everything Friday, didn't they? So I might need to clear a lot of this off. Okay, well, EXEL I still like, right? We're holding these prior highs right here. As long as we're holding those highs, that's great. We have earnings and 7 candles, so something we got to keep an eye on. WWE I'm still interested in. I like it less now that we're hanging out down here, but I'm going to keep this on watch. If it can rebound and we can hit 60, that's fine. REXR, that's broken down at that level, so I'm no longer interested in that, so we'll take that off the list. EYEP earnings is getting too close, only a few days away from this, so that's gotta bounce as well. CERE, I still like the look of this. Again, we're just dealing with this rounded bottom and this little pullback, although earnings is getting close, right? Something we always got to watch is that earnings are getting near. Fizz, still like it if it can kind of reclaim this high right here. Again, just playing off that rounded bottom. So now's where we try to find what stock is coming up next, right? It's going to be hard because A, we have earnings coming up, and B, that everything is kind of selling off. But again, I'll be looking for relative strength. So I'm going to have to dig, because after this I have to do the TI strength alerts. LTH is in there and looking good. I'm not one just to buy it right after. But again, this will be in TI strength, and the trigger will be up here. Merck is going to be in there as well, because again, I don't control these, but it's got 2 kind of topping tails up in here. So, the trigger event will be up over. Are you going to break in and then she does this all the time, and then she'll get trapped in here and she'll get mad about it. So up at that high. So really for me, I'd want to see it hold up there. I do like when turns like that happen on earnings dates, but if you don't want to stay in here, stop coming in and opening the door. Friggin' thing. Come on. Go on. Cool. Life of a dog, can't figure out whether it wants to be in or out of a room. So yeah, Merck's looks okay. For me, I think it would need to hold up here. That is a pretty sizable move, but the algorithm is going to like it. So, but I'm going to have to go deeper because in this scan, it cuts it off at 85, but I'm going to have to go lower, which is just the way it works, right? When you also use anchored view app from the top to see if it's compressing. Well, if I'm just looking at resistance from the top, I do that all the time. But for that case, I'm basically just saying the market's obviously going down. I'm not really concerned what's above us right now. I'm concerned with what's below us, just because of how awful the whole market looks. And I think this will be a pretty short scanning session, but we'll see. Maybe not, just because it's going to be very hard to find relative strength in this market where they're starting to come for everyone, which means my job is a little bit easier, right? I only have to watch a handful of names. And they're either going to do something and I'm going to take a trade, or they're not, and I'm not. Dollar General is interesting. When's earnings? Oh, 20 candles. So a month. So we're going to add Dollar General to the list here. So yeah, so for this is where I would take, an anchored view app and I would mark it. And then maybe you could say your entry, right? The reason I'm looking at Dollar General is just we've had these prior highs that are now maybe acting as support. Again, anytime I put something on a watch list, it's just that. It's just I want to watch this. Doesn't mean I'm going to trade it. But you may say, for example, so that's about 248 is where that anchored view app is. You might just say, I'm going to wait for it to close above that, right? 248, 238. But yeah, I just don't think there's going to be a whole lot. Yeah, everything looks so bad. And the ones that like AEE, for example, is interesting. We had this one as it broke out here. A nice, great trade on that. Now that it's coming back, it may be interesting if it gets back to these highs, but we have earnings coming up soon. So there's two things I'm battling right now from a swing side of things, right? One of them is kind of looking at the fact that they're selling everything off, right? That's easy to filter out with the right filters. The other thing that I'm worried about or looking for is earnings is always coming up, right? When you're in the midst of earnings season, it makes trading for us swing traders and trend followers a little bit more complicated because we need to make sure that there's enough room for our kind of idea to play out before we're really interested in, like this one, for example, looks interesting. This MUSA, nice strong push up, calm pullback, but then we've got earnings in 2 weeks. So I have to, or 2 days. So I have to completely skip over that. Yeah, so there's nothing there that's very interesting. Another scan that I like is the bull flag scanner from TI right here. I don't know if there'll be anything really on that. Hospitality REIT is interesting. So what do you do? So this is a very slow kind of trading one, doesn't move around enough, but you can see how well this this scan from Trade Ideas that uses to build bull flags on the daily chart, how well it does when it comes to finding things that are holding up well relative to the market, right? So this EOLS, I like the look of EOLS. God damn. And then there's earnings in a few days. This Excel we still have on the list. I gotta move this a little bit. It's just covering my earnings date tab. There we go. Yeah, fun. There's going to be a lot of this where I'm like, oh, this is a really good looking name, and then they're going to have earnings. So that combined with the fact that there's going to be way less going on is going to make it so it's going to be really hard to find names. LiDAR here is interesting. So we got earnings May 12th. So that's a week and a bit. See, I don't like that, but I do like, maybe I'll add this one just because I like the look of it so much. So this, for anyone who's wondering what a cup and handle would look like, is a very textbook definition of a cup and handle where you have, right, big push down, some accumulation, push back up, comes right to where this prior high is and stops, and now it's consolidating through. So the theory would be, right, something like 575 and 475. But again, the issue is you've got 2 weeks basically until earnings. So you got to move quick on that one, or it has to move quick before I'll be really interested. But right, this thing used to be $10, so maybe it's just kind of popping around there. Oh, another one that was interesting that also had earnings is this outlet. Someone in the room was asking about this, and yeah, this is a decent looking cup and handle here as well, right? Big cup right here, and then it's just been chopping sideways, putting in the handle. But it's the same kind of thing. You've got earnings in a few days, so that is going to be the dilemma of most things going forward. Is how do you deal with earnings? And I know there's some people out there who would just take stuff through earnings. They'd be fine with that. Not so much myself. So play's interesting, and it doesn't have earnings. So this would be another example, right? Big cup handle on the weekly chart. So the theory is, right, you always want the top of the cup and handle to be this prior area. So if that can break through there, you're basically saying, okay, well then what happens if we get to old highs, which is like $70? That'd be a great one. So that's play. And the reason I like it, that was all weekly chart stuff. But from a daily chart, you can see, right, big strong push up. And then very, very typical classical bull flag look. Oops. And kind of holding the anchored view out. So this would need to be a breakout of like 48 and 45. Play also has a 12% short float, which is really interesting. Do you prefer several days consolidation after earnings? I'll just always trade my setup. I just don't want to hold into earnings. Right? There is no do I prefer this or prefer that. I'll trade my setups. And just part of my written and tested trading plan says if there's not enough time before earnings for your kind of trade thesis to carry out, then just don't trade. Don't take it. So for me, I usually hold for a week to two. And, so for example, this one with earnings here, nice look, bull flag, relatively strong, has earnings, can't trade. You should think about trading like a checklist, right? Where you see a stock and it's like, right, does it meet the pattern that's part of my written trading plan? Does it have enough liquidity that's in my written trading plan? Does it have enough this that's on my written trading plan? Is it like this, right? And it should all just have a check, 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 check. Okay, then I can put it on my list, or right, check, 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 X. Okay, well now I can't. So I know it's happening quickly, and that's just because I've been doing this for an insanely long period of time. But that's what I'm looking at, right? Sometimes you'll see me stop on a stock and stare at it for a second and then go on to the next one. It's because what's happening is I'm going through and I'm saying, okay, right, this name is relatively strong. It's holding up and has a bit of consolidation. And then I'm starting to check, like, what's the average volume? What do I see on the weekly chart? When is their earnings? What sector is it in? Right, just going through and crunching all of this math to try to say, okay, is this something that I can actually add to the list? And if I get to something when I'm doing that just disqualifies it, then I just go, okay, well, you can't go on the list. Sorry. So that's it for that. So there is not really that much that. I'm just going to go through this one, which is just Bollinger Band squeeze stuff. Why do I have all that stuff, but I don't have average daily volume? So 300,000 shares a day, right? You guys might be able to spot the pattern of, right, got potential handle, right? So maybe. Oh, and it's got some time. ONDS. So it's at 825, 7. So the reason I like this one, again, obvious relative strength, right? You have to be able to see without, you don't need to be a CMT to see that this thing's holding up way better than the market over the last little bit. 7. So yeah, I like the look of that one. It's got, it was like 2 weeks, a little bit to learning, so it's getting there. Someone's got chart requests. Again, we'll always take those at this time. So this OPCH, a strong name, looks interesting. Had that already massive spike from earnings. So if this consolidated for a few days, I think I'd be interested. I don't know if I would pick it up right up here, but it's an interesting looking name. Yeah, I like this. Earnings is the problem on this one, but I kind of like this. If you are going to go bottom fishing, right, you want to go bottom fishing on relatively strong names, right? So you got the anchored view up from below, it's holding up, anchored view up from above, and you can see that, right? If you look at the SPY, if we go back to the SPY over the last few days, you can see how this one over the last week or so has been down. All right, why? Right, and this one's holding up, so there is some relative strength on a short-term basis on this name, but for me, it's just not. It's not the move. Earnings is too close. That's the reason. It's just the problem, right? Every quarter, I have about a week or two where it's just nearly impossible to find names that look good and don't have earnings in the next couple weeks to a month. It's just the nature of it, and not upsetting or anything. It's just it is the way it is. Is that the end of that list? Yeah, that is. PCG. I have one here. Oh, that's OCG. PCG. Yeah, it looks good, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days up in a row into resistance. So for this, I'd need to see a pullback or some consolidation or something. 5 days in a row up into a resistance area just isn't where I'd want to initiate a trade. Boil. Oh, that's just natural gas. Be careful with those triple levered ones. I know they sound fun, but just look at the weekly chart on it. Right, these things are naturally designed to decay over time. That's just how the back end of the derivatives that make them up sound up. So again, it looks good. The it's holding up well. If we break these if we can hold above this area, we've had some struggling just holding above right here. So if we can hold above that, you might be interested. It might be a move higher there. Just know that you're holding something that is designed to degrade over time. So make sure that it's quick. Now you're probably better off if you're planning on holding it for any length of time, is to hold UNG. I know people, they want to trade the levered ones because they move more and they're more interesting and exciting. I just think you just have to know that you're holding something that will degrade over time. It's just kind of the point of it. Any more? Like, I went through a couple scans there. Nothing really I could find that was super interesting to me. I'm not planning on pushing it too far, personally, just because it's a kind of a policy of mine, is the more I have to force scanning and force trades and force all this, the less good overall it is. So for me, it's better just to go, I can't find anything, move on with my day, as opposed to, right, really, really, really pushing for, to get more and more and more and more, and try to find more things for the list. I take it as a cue, which is, I guess, a good little rant, right? You should take it as well, where if you really can't find anything to trade, that should be an instant indicator of, okay, well, maybe now's not the time for your written and tested trading plan to really outperform. So maybe you trade less because there is just less to trade, and that's okay, right? That's fine. You don't have to always be fully invested. You don't have to always kind of be pushing for these big wins. Sometimes you can just pull back and go, okay, there's not really a whole lot to do, so I'm not really going to do a whole lot, and I'll just wait. And that is the hardest part of trading for sure. And so I get it if you guys are struggling. If you guys are new traders and you're like, you always have that inclination of, I have to trade, I have to trade, I have to trade. Just unplugging this camera. I think it's actually screwing up my other one. Gross Logitech. Give me my money back. But yeah, so it's one of my old trading mentors always used to say, listen, you will know when you've made it as a trader when you can't, you sit there and you scan and you look for stocks to trade. And then at the end of the day, and this was, we were just day trading at the time, at the end of the day, you don't take any trades. That's when you know you're a successful trader, because the new trader is always thinking, well, I have to trade or I'm not going to make any money. Whereas the experienced trader is always saying with every single trade, what is my risk? What is my risk? What is my risk? And do I have an edge? Do I have an edge? Do I have an edge over and over and over again? What's my risk on this trade? And do I have an edge on this trade? So if I have to go through 17 different scans in order to find something that meets kind of my written and tested trading plan, then I probably don't have that edge right now. So then what do you do if you don't have an edge? Well, you put your money in cash. You just sit there. I've been doing a little bit of day trading over the last week or two. I always day trade. So it's not just like I'm going to start day trading because whatever, but I'm definitely focusing a little bit more. Sorry, I spilled on my desk. I'm focusing a little bit more on the day trading side of things just because that's what's working. So, don't pigeonhole yourself. If you don't have a day trading strategy, please don't just go start day trading because I did, right? I have a strategy. I have something that I can use that I can scalp with the market, and it has somewhat of a positive expectancy over time. It's not going to light the world on fire, but it's going to keep the lights on. But yeah, again, if you can't find anything to trade, don't push it. It's not worth it. Right? Just take the cue from the market. Doesn't mean you're you don't do anything. WM, yeah. It's got to clear. It's got some kind of maggot resistance up here, so it's got to like hold above there. To me, that looks so far like kind of a failure. So you'd have to be careful there. Oh, I can't wait till I get this camera all back and everything's set up, ready to go again. The Amazon order should be here tomorrow anyway. So, all right, guys. So I don't see any more chart questions. Again, I apologize. It's a little bit of a short one, but there's not really much to talk about, right? We just broke support. Unless we reclaim that support vigorously sometime this week, that there's really nothing to do. What I will say is you have to note that there is FOMC on Wednesday. Yeah, FOMC, Fed statements and Fed fund rates on Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday might be a little bit boring. Wednesday is when things might really pick up and go, and start, really hammering. It's one of those things he kind of said exactly what he's going to do. It's going to be a 50 basis point hike. So if it's that, then that's what's based in. If it's anything other than that, then things could get wild. But again, just if there's nothing to do nothing. Read a book about trading, work on some algorithms, do something. There is not always a time to trade, right? It's not always time to risk your money in the markets. And as soon as you know that, as soon as you figure that out, the better. But I'm going to take off, guys. It was nice chatting with you. I'm here every Saturday now at this time, and I will talk to you guys soon.